Introducing Royal Caribbean's newest ship, Icon of the Seas, the ultimate family vacation. The ultimate 6 slides, 8 neighborhoods, 0 compromise vacation. The ultimate never done that, can't wait to do it vacation. The ultimate chillin' by a different pool every day of the week vacation. This is the Icon of vacations. Icon of the Seas, arriving in 2024. Book today. Come seek the Royal Caribbean. Ships Registry, Bahamas.
Welcome into Missing the Point. I am Joe Malkin, joining you with the whole crew, something we haven't done in a long time, but it's for a special occasion. Out on the left coast, we have DK Sizzle, Dave Clark, up in New Hampshire, but he's not really in New Hampshire, but anything north of Boston is just considered New Hampshire to people from down here. It is Mike Marcangelo. Rayshawn Buchanan in the city. And way out west in New York is the real BK Bob Kelly, and like 2 miles down the road from me is Craig D'Alessandro. I never know why we don't just do these in the same place. But I am Joe Malkin. This is the 100th episode of MTP, Missing the Point, formerly known as SNSW. And guys, welcome into our 100th episode, which is not officially our 100th episode.
I was going to say, I didn't. Are we concocting an elaborate ruse on the listeners? No, include me in about it. I was like, we've blown past 100 episodes.
We have blown past 100 episodes. Unfortunately, we hit 100 episodes over the holidays, and we couldn't all get together until today. So Mike could get together last week, but we decided that wasn't important enough.
Is there anything more on brand for a show called Missing the Point than to have their 103rd episode be their 100th episode? I just think that's perfect, you know?
Bobby, it's like when stores have grand openings, but they've been open for 6 months. It's just
soft opening.
Yeah, it's just that was just our soft opening.
That was going to be the name of my band in college, but we really could never get any
soft
bookings.
opening.
Now it's just going to be the title of my memoirs.
It's TK and the soft openings.
Welcome, everyone.
That was a hell of a soft opening for us, huh?
We've come a long way. We're doing our normal antics to call everybody out. Bobby's smoking, Dave's smoking, Mike and I are drinking, Ray's listening to our antics, and Craig's drinking diet soda of some sort. So not much has changed over 100 episodes. Not much has changed in 15 years, really, because that's really how long we've all known each other. And now to be doing 100 episodes of a podcast, you know, when we got back together for this in July of 2020 in the midst of a pandemic, and we had nothing better to do. I don't think any of us thought we were going to do that at that point. And I don't think any of us, well, I think we thought we could get to 100 episodes, but I don't know if we expected it to be in such grandiose fashion with over 20,000 downloads of our episodes. And we've talked to some amazing people in the sports world, including, Dan Shaughnessy, Jan Volk, Karen Garigian, who has basically adopted Mike, and Abby Chin, and so many, Trenny Kisnarek, who was one of my favorites. And then, Hillary Rose, who has been on with us multiple times, the MMA fighter from our neck of the woods. So
she's fighting soon. I just talked to her. She's going to come back on the show this month. It's going to be fun.
Awesome. So there's a preview of something to look forward to in late January, early February. But yeah, guys, I mean, we're 100 episodes, 103. So we'll hit Dave. It's okay. Deep breath. 103 episodes into this thing. And guys, just real quick to kind of look back on it. We basically talk every day in our Discord, and we do this show once a week, and we haven't seen each other all in a long time. But Ray, we're 100 episodes into this thing, and I know you have a couple of projects going on and stuff. So I think you're the one to go to here. What does it mean to be this deep into it to you?
Oh, I mean, it's awesome, man. I came back to Boston after 7 years being down in Miami, and obviously I came right back before the pandemic and just really didn't know what was going to be next for me, honestly. So I think Bobby made a post or someone that tagged us or something that happened like maybe 8 or 9 years ago at the time. And, we always had statuses throughout the years that we tagged each other like, oh, like, remember this? And, only if we had a show. And then all of a sudden it was like, yeah, let's just do a reunion show. And then, people tuned in for that one in June of 2020. Then, it was like, oh, let's have another one in July. And more people listened. I'm like, oh shit, like people actually want to hear something that we have to say. And then, to Craig's credit, Craig's like, yo, if y'all want to do this shit, we got to be all in. And to a man, we said, yeah, let's do it. And, I said our dedication, our attention to detail has been phenomenal. So whether it's been you as a host, Joe, Mike as a host, DK as a host, hell, all of us are hosted at some point. Honestly, if we go by that logic, but it's been awesome to be a part of this. Regardless of all the stuff I do, like I said, this has been phenomenal because I started with everyone here, and we made history on the radio with Dean, and now we're making history now here. So not to be too long-winded, but like I said, it's been an awesome experience, and I can't wait to see what the next 100 episodes bring.
Yeah, those kids at Dean now, they may have that partnership with the Kraft Group and the Patriots and the Revolution, but we trailblazed that, and they got nothing on us. So
right, exactly.
Can suck. Bobby, you've been through a lot in the last 100 episodes. Got a baby, and your Cowboys are in the playoffs. I mean, within 2 months of each other, you've had a baby, and the Cowboys are in the playoffs, and they look like they can actually win a playoff game. What has 100 episodes meant to you?
Man, it's been magical to be here with you guys. Like Ray said, when we put up that Facebook post, during the pandemic, I never thought it would turn into this. I definitely thought it would just kind of be like a one-off, get together, we'll talk about sports, record it. It'll be fun. It'll be good. Here we are, almost 2 years later now, still going strong. It's been amazing, man. I'm just so happy that it's been so successful. So happy I made that Facebook post, man. It's still to this day. I love it. It comes up on my Facebook every, September, August when we did it. And I love it every single time.
And then we started talking, and we got back together, and it was, basically Bobby kind of got Ray on the bandwagon. And then, of course, Mike and I were both like, well, it's a chance to talk about sports and hear ourselves. So we're in. And then we said, well, Craig, you got to jump in. And he, of course, did, and he jumped in more than any of us.
They would have to do everything.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, we'll get to that. And then Bobby came back to us and said, yo, if we're going to get the band back together, we got to get Dave involved. So Dave, that's how Dave got involved. And we were all like, hell yeah, let's get Dave back in.
It was supposed to be a surprise, remember? I was like, oh, it's a surprise. And then DK was like, fuck your surprise, actually.
Yeah, every one of us knew it was Dave. It couldn't have been anybody else because it wasn't Dylan. So Dave.
I knew that shot was coming.
The inside jokes are strong with this one. So those of you that are loyal to us, that have listened to us since the Power 88 days, Dave, you've been through a lot in the last year too. You got engaged, you bought a house, and you have now been on 100 episodes of this podcast with us. How does that make you feel?
Fuck around, get a triple double, man. It's just how I do. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's cool that we did this. I think it was like, did you guys watch that Beatles documentary where it was just like 8 hours of them like playing chords, and then all of a sudden like fucking Let It Be would just like rip out of one of their pianos? And it was like, watching it, I was like, yeah, this is cool because like, I know we're not the Beatles, mainly because there's 6 of us, not 4,
and hopefully one of us doesn't get shot.
Yeah, that is what like a collaborative process is like. And I think it's just been cool to kind of go through the ups and downs of collaborating with like 6 people in very different phases of their life. And sort of like working through everyone's personalities and like kind of figuring out how to work with each other and like make the best product we possibly can. And I think that if anyone is ever going to do something like that and they're on the fence, I think you should do it, because for better or for worse, it like will improve your communication skills. It'll improve your like interpersonal skills. And like, even though we all now like basically hate each other, we are making it work. So it's a good way to like release some tension as well. If you have like an actual relationship at home, you can be in an old married couple with 5 dudes you went to college with instead. and it just sort of works out. It's become sort of a nice thing in my life that I do. I like to do all you guys. This thing is me just doing all you guys. What, Mike? What is there some sort of issue with what I just said, Mike?
Yeah,
Jeez.
yeah. Speaking of old married dudes, Mike Marcangelo. Thanks. Really good at the transitions today.
It's great when you call it out. It makes it way better.
Yeah.
No, keep doing that. It makes it way better.
Just in the background, transitions on point.
It's usually what I have to do with my jokes too, especially around my house when my wife stops laughing at them. So, Mike, how are you? How's it going? 100 episodes. Been a lot of ups and downs, and here we are.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you just think about it, I didn't really think it too much philosophically about this until Ray, Bobby, and DK spoke about it. But like, we were such a big part of each other's lives, like in the formative years in college, right? Like, we all kind of grew together, and then to take that 10-year pause and come back and still be able to, I think, deliver a really good, product week in and week out, despite who's on here. I think that's awesome. And now we're all in this, as you mentioned, like the different phases of our lives. So that's the heartfelt, opinion. Honestly, I'm surprised we made it because none of us really like each other, and we're still here every single day. We check our group chat to see who can piss off who the most, and I think that makes for really good content. I know that there have been some touch and go scenarios, but whether it's we're just such all different personalities with sarcasm, everything, and we all lose everything in translation into text. And I actually now to a point where I laugh at every single fight that we have via text or chat, because I know that the other person is A, getting really mad, and B, when I'm getting really mad, I'm like, that son of a bitch still knows how to do it. So I guess I'm really shocked that we made it, and I'm glad that we did. We're gonna have a lot. We're gonna have a lot of fun, coming up.
It's funny you say that though, because that really is what it is, right? We really have morphed into a fucking married old couple. Because like, no matter how many fights we have, no matter how many times we go at each other's fucking throats, like, we'll literally come in for the kill and be like, "Go fucking stop!" And then 10 minutes later, it's fine. You know what I mean? So like, we've actually reached that point where like, we can get in a huge brawl, and then 20 minutes later, we can pass each other in the hallway and be like, "Hey, babe, what's up?"
That's how dudes work, right?
The virtual hallway, yes.
Yeah, we throw a haymaker, we catch the chin, and we're fine.
Yeah,
so,
it's
Craig,
all good.
it's usually Dave that's pissing everybody off. Two-part question: who, in your humble opinion, pisses everybody off the most? And what have you thought about 100 episodes of literally doing everything?
Well, the answer to the first question is Dave, because he knows what's button suppressor. He knows how to do it very, very well.
I like pressing you guys' buttons.
When you work in Hollywood,
you got
right?
some sexy buttons, all of you.
And I'm very happy with what we've all accomplished. We've talked to some very important people, some very famous people in our realm of
That's really nice of you,
expertise.
Craig, but it's your section. You should just talk about you, not me.
I don't like talking about me. That's why I don't talk on the show. I just listen to you guys talk. But, listen to you guys for, I've done all these now, and I look forward to 100 more.
Our first guest really was Dave, and he just never left. So,
Thank God for that, huh? I hope you count your lucky stars every day.
I think I speak for all five of us, Craig, when I say we literally could not do any of this without you.
We wouldn't. More or less couldn't. We just wouldn't.
We literally wouldn't. And I think you know that too. And you probably curse at us when you're editing the episodes at 1:00 in the morning, and you probably enjoy getting that text message from me at 1:30 when I've fallen asleep on my couch and mosey up to bed.
Did you ever finish Predator?
No, I didn't finish Predator. It was the one with Olivia Munn too.
I didn't know your nickname for him was Predator. Wow, a little window. 100 episodes into Joe and Craig's relationship. Ow!
But anyway.
But yes,
Craig, literally,
I do yell at you all at like 2:00 in the morning. I'm like,
yeah. Well,
Get ready.
Just for the record, Craig's yelled at us 0 times in 100 episodes.
Well, Craig,
no, I
Craig
was
is kind
muted.
of passive when it comes to that. Like I've known him for longer than all you guys have, but it kind of it's kind of in a passive way. But I can tell when Craig's mad, and I've seen him get pretty upset with us. And you know what? He brushes it off because he knows that we're good at what we do, and he's good at what he does, and it's all for the greater good. But we all bring our shit powers together to spew this nonsense for 104 episodes. And it's been a blast. And it's been a lot of fun. So that all said, throughout this episode, which is already like 20 minutes long,
12.
Craig will, what's that?
12.
12. All right. I was short. I have no sense of time, apparently.
I could have told you that, dude.
We will be sprinkling in some of our greatest moments from the show, from the first 100 episodes of Missing the Point, with some of our guests, some of our best rants. And, you know, I really do wish sometimes we could give you guys a look inside our, some of our Discord. Some of it may get us arrested. But other parts would be great for you guys to see. There's been some epic battles, and one of my favorites is still me and Bobby going off about Danny Ainge, and then me, the guy with very little NBA knowledge, being completely right, and Bobby being like, "What
Of course,
the fuck?"
that's your favorite.
Yeah, it is. It is my favorite. 100%. I think about it all the time when you get fired up in the chat. I'm like, just let it go. Think about Ainge. Think about Ainge. So anyway, but for the rest of the show, for our talking part of the show, we are going to get into some 6-man NFL talk because, guys, we are on our way into the playoffs. The playoff seeds are set. The playoff matchups are set. And, of course, I meant to bring them up before. Bobby came out with his playoff power rankings, and you know, we can take a look at all of these matchups. But guys, a couple of interesting scenarios this past weekend. That allowed the Pittsburgh Steelers into the playoffs. So to give you the AFC matchups, the Raiders and Bengals and the Patriots and Bills will play on Saturday. The Eagles and Buccaneers, the 49ers and Cowboys, the Steelers and Chiefs will play on Sunday, and then the Cardinals and Rams will play a Monday night football playoff game, which is, I believe, the second year that they've done that. So those are our 14 teams. And guys, I guess first I'll start with Mike and say, Mike, are there any surprises in the playoffs to you this year in the NFL?
I mean, I think the Raiders and the Bengals are both a surprise, based on how, you know, everything that happened with the Raiders season, so much turmoil, and then they were able to pull off, 4 wins in a row to close out the season to make the playoffs and now they get to go against the Tiger King, Joe Burrow, and Jamar Chase, who after the NFL preseason, we're all thinking that guy he just has the drops, can't catch a single ball. And he may have had the best rookie year for a wide receiver in NFL history. I think that has all the makings of being a great game. I do expect, you know, the Bengals to come out. But if you were to tell me, you know, September of 2021, that the Bengals will be playing the Raiders in the playoffs, I would have said, like, you are out of your mind. And both teams figured it out. So that's my biggest surprise.
So, Rayshawn, our New England Patriots take on the Buffalo Bills on Saturday night. Sorry, my thought process was over here.
I literally watched you stop listening to me, by the way.
Oh no, I didn't stop listening to you. I heard everything you said, and I brought it, shut up, Bobby, and I brought it all in. But
wait, before you move on to the Patriots.
Oh, now you want to come in?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, but that was a good thing.
All right, go ahead.
That was good. But I gotta say, my biggest surprise, shocker, is the goddamn Pittsburgh Steelers, man. That team all year, they reminded me a lot of Tim Tebow's Broncos this year. All right, that's the kind of football you got out of them, where it was 3 quarters of just garbage football where nothing would happen. And then somehow Ben Roethlisberger, after looking like he doesn't belong on a football field anymore. All right. Ben Roethlisberger belongs on a couch. Better yet, he belongs in a doctor's chair, or
Jail
as
cell.
DK would say, maybe in a jail cell. Yeah. He doesn't belong there anymore, but yet somehow every week he still found a way to do it. And the way they got into was just so unreal for Staley to call that timeout and the Raiders to kick the field goal specifically because he called the timeout, allegedly. It's so unreal and so unexpected that they got to be the choice, man.
For everyone out there listening, if you don't know, I mean, you probably do know. If you're even listening to this show, you know what we're talking about in the NFL. But on Sunday afternoon, if the Jaguars beat the Colts and then the Raiders and Chargers tied, the Raiders and Chargers would have gotten into the playoffs. The Jaguars did their job. The Steelers beat the Ravens to knock the Ravens out. And then the Chargers, Brandon Staley, as Bobby just mentioned, what did they have, 15 seconds left in overtime? And he called a timeout, which allowed the Raiders to kick a field goal. He essentially knocked himself out of the playoffs. And this was something we talked about pre-show, and I think we can come back to it in our next segment when we talk about NFL coach firings. Excuse me. But I'm with Bobby on this. I think the surprise of the playoffs is the Steelers. God damn it, Craig and Mike, you keep breaking my concentration. I'm sorry I had to cough. At least I'm not the one with COVID. So the surprise for me is the Steelers, mostly for the same reasons. DK, who is your surprise in the playoffs?
Bobby stole mine.
Ray, who is your surprise?
No, I won't do one. Jesus.
Well, I was supposed to be next anyways, but go ahead, DK.
I'm not driving this fucking train, dude. I'm honestly not sure.
Go
who is at this point.
I'm not sure who is already. We're only 20 minutes in. So.
Yeah, go ahead, man. Go ahead. You got it.
No, I mean, the Steelers look fucking terrible all season, so it's a little crazy that they're in there. Just to double down on that point. As far as surprises go, I think the biggest surprise of the entire season was that the worst defense of last season became the best and most fun defense of this season. When you think about the Dallas Cowboys, and to me, the teams, the season was drunk. Some crazy shit happened. Nobody you expected to win won. Blah 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 blah. That was the narrative we did all season. But there were a couple cool through lines, and one was the Cowboys defense. I thought was really fun. Another was Joe Burrow, who he always kind of had that attitude, but now he's kind of emerging as a really likable starting NFL quarterback. And all these kind of plot lines that are now going into these playoffs, as well as just the Benny Hill sketch that was the very last day of the season. Just up was down, down was up. I started the day being why are we playing this fucking last week? This is so stupid. And then it was just a comedy of errors across the entire NFL. You're how do these guys have jobs? Blah, blah, blah. But as far as surprises go, everything was a surprise every week this season. It was a fun season. I think we had a fun regular season overall. And I think a lot of those, like I said, a lot of those things are coming in now to the playoffs to keep following. I have a few prop bets on the Cincinnati Bengals because their odds were so good, in my favor. And I'm really excited to watch them. And I'm really excited to see what the Cowboys defense is going to do. I think there's probably going to be an upset in this wild card round. I think there's going to be a weird team, maybe the Steelers just live past the Chiefs somehow. The Chiefs have had a couple games where they've looked weird and not quite themselves. I know it's been a little bit, but anything can happen. That's, I think, the biggest surprise of the playoffs is it's the most unpredictable playoffs ever. Nobody, if anybody tells you they're sure who's going to win, they're not. They're lying to you because the best team is a historically unreliable playoff team, and it's just anything can happen here, and I'm just excited about it. I'm ready to fucking start. I'm just counting down the days to start watching it, to be honest with you.
The Steelers defense could be sneaky.
No. They're gonna get absolutely fucking smashed.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know that they will. I think they're gonna get beat.
It might be bad. It might be one of the worst playoff defeats of all time, to be honest with you.
Well, it could be. Ray Sean.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna add on to that, right? So to me, the surprise is all Pennsylvania. So it's Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, right? Nick Sirianni coming in, first year coach. We're gonna replace the guy that got the Super Bowl there, Doug Peterson. I feel like they still don't know what they want at quarterback. They draft Hurst last year, and then they bring in Minshew this year. To me, there's no way that Minshew should have been in the game against Dallas that last week. I'm not saying that Hurts would have had them win that game, but it's just you're not good enough to just essentially throw a game away at the end of the year. So I didn't understand that. And then, like I said, you basically just said, okay, well, we'll face Tampa Bay. And you might get 40 pieced at like on the road. It's gonna be ugly this weekend for them, but we'll get into that. But yeah, that was definitely a big surprise. But I know you was gonna make a point about the Bills and Patriots, Joe. So what do you want to get into with that?
Well, just with the Eagles, I think we had Sirianni out the door halfway through the season, and then he pulled it around. And they have enough weapons, and they're good enough to build on.
Mhm.
But against the Buccaneers, if the Buccaneers come out as strong as they should, there's no way. I think that would be a bigger blowout than the Chiefs over the Steelers. I do. If the Buccaneers come out firing on all cylinders and they're healthy. I mean, they are down a receiver. But looking at the wild card round on Saturday night, the Patriots will travel to the Bills for the second time in 4 weeks. I'm actually going to change the question, and I'm going to change it to who I'm going to direct it at. Mike, is this a trap game for the Bills?
No.
This isn't what Bill wanted?
No, I don't think so, because it's not going to be 85-mile-an-hour winds and negative 15-degree temperatures. So they're still going to have to throw the ball and defend the pass. I do think it doesn't happen very often that a quarterback will come in and destroy you 2 times in one season with Bill. So that's encouraging. But based on what we've seen out of the Patriots over the last 5 weeks, if they play like they played in Miami last week, they can't beat anybody. It doesn't matter who we could be going against the Raiders, and I'd say, well, depends on who shows up. If we play like we did in Indy, the Raiders will smoke us, because we've been playing like such ass against teams that we should not be playing like that against. And then we have a surprise, that one miracle game in Buffalo where, we didn't have to pass it and we won. I don't think it's a trap game. I think it's a scary game. The one thing I'll say is I think that the game does favor New England in the sense that everybody's counting them out. Like the pressure isn't on them.
They're 4.5-point favorites.
I don't think that's real, though. I honestly think everyone around the league.
Wait, the Patriots are favored?
No, they're not.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
way.
It's 4.5 for the Bills.
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
Which is really, it's almost.
I was like, I'll
pick 'em,
take that right now. Actually, I'll
Yeah,
take
I was
that.
just gonna
Actually,
do that.
Yeah, it's almost a pick 'em. I mean, it's plus or minus 3 points for the home team, right? But the entire league is not counting on the Patriots to win. And I think if we've learned anything this year with this Patriots team, they are much better when they are the hunter and not the hunted, because when the lights are shining bright on them, and every game this year, for the most part, they have crumbled. So I don't think it's a trap game.
But that's why I felt a few weeks ago when I think me and Joe did a show after they beat Buffalo, and Joe was laughing at me. I felt like it was a loss. I was like, you got to dominate these dudes. They don't even think they have a chance against you. That was that, and I couldn't articulate that. I was so mad a few weeks ago when that happened. But you had to prove to them, listen, you can't fuck with us. You had your 1 year last year, but now it's back, and we're on top. We're top 2. We're not number 2. That's what I wanted to articulate a few weeks ago, but I couldn't. But yeah, you win at 14-10 up there. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, you won it. And like I said, we talked about it, Mike. We said, yo, we're gonna win up there in Buffalo. They was gonna get us here, and that's what happened. But they dominated us. It should have been 49-21. Should be told. It was a few missed plays, penalties, whatever they missed. Like that, they really dominated us here in Foxborough. So now this team has been phenomenal on the road all year, just about. Listen, Miami is always a wash because they usually lose down there, especially late in the season. With the exception of a few games, I think they're 2-7 in their last 9 down there in Miami at on the road. So I get that, but yeah, I mean, I just think to me, I won't say necessarily a trap game, but I think that, like I said, there's no way you could throw less than 10 times thinking that you're going to win this game. I'm sorry, like it's not just going to be Harris and Stevens. As much as I love those 2 running backs, you have to throw the ball at least 25 to 30 times. You have to. And like I said, Trey White's not out there. It's not like he's coming back. So that's why I was mad a few weeks ago. You have to go at them. Like you're not running the ball all day. This is not 1975. You have to throw the ball. There has to be a balance. And I think, and if they do that effectively, then I think they can win, 24-21, something like that.
The cool thing about this game, though, Joe, before you go, is that we're going to know when there's 5 minutes left in the first quarter. If we're down 14-0, the game's over because the Patriots are front runners this year.
Yeah,
they know how to win. They know how to win when they are in front and when they get a lead because then they can control the tempo. They run the ball. What we've learned is if they're down 14, they'll make it a game at the end, but something will occur that will ensure that they did not win. So I think, unlike any other Patriot team, in the last 20 years, obviously, because you don't have Brady anymore, you have to get out in front fast and you have to keep putting up points. And I just don't know how long you're going to be able to control the clock and control Josh Allen.
I think you will know. I think you will know in the first 5 minutes that the Patriots are going to lose because, what Ray was saying struck a chord with me because he threw 32 times when you guys got shellacked by Buffalo. He threw it 32 times, but his completion percentage was like under 50%, and he threw 2 picks. So it's like it's all about efficiency for Mac Jones, and I haven't seen it the past few weeks. The stage is set. It's going to be cold as fuck. I'm 100% not sure about him in cold weather at this point. He already is staring down the barrel of his god awful performance against them a few weeks ago. And they've just sort of crumbled since then. And it's I haven't seen anything from them the last few weeks to make me think they're going to be able to beat the Buffalo Bills. And if I'm doubling down on it now because Mike's going, the way we win is we come out and we smack them in the mouth early. And that is not a quality I've seen from the Patriots. They've made games of things late, like you said. They've managed games super efficiently and won them. I've seen that from them for sure. That had Bill Belichick's DNA all over it. But you just come out and just dynamically drop a big couple scores on a team and then really set the tempo. I just haven't seen it that much from them. And I think it comes down to who their quarterback is. I'm not saying he can't be that guy someday, but right now I just don't think to take away because the thing is you always have this you're looking at the Patriots and you're thinking about this Bill Belichick magic and you're thinking about this stuff that's been happening every time you watch the Patriots in the postseason for your whole life, basically, your whole adult life and teenage years. But when you think about it, obviously Tom Brady was there, whatever, we don't need to get into that. But you can trick yourself into not just making it really simple and just looking at it and going, who are the 2 quarterbacks and who are the 2 teams, and what are the conditions? Where are they playing? What are their records? Don't take away that Bill Belichick black magic, which I just, cause I think that the chasm is too great for him to use his brain to climb. They're just a better team. And every time I watch N'Keal Harry play football, I'm just it's just the weapons. I like a lot of players on the Patriots offense. I just don't know if any of them are guys that can make Mac Jones be what he needs to be in this game. I just don't see it. I can't imagine it happening. I can't visualize it.
I feel like what happened was, that Patriots game, right? You could tell what was missing from that Bills offense was for some reason they weren't running with Josh Allen. Josh Allen's a mobile quarterback. That dude's an athletic.
When he's at his best, he's dynamic.
Right, exactly. So what was missing is that element. Since that game, the Bills have now added that back into their offense. The past 4 games, I think Allen has 6 rushing touchdowns. That has now opened up the field for Devin Singletary, who also has 5 rushing touchdowns in the last couple of games. Also opened up the field for Diggs. It's opened up the field for Isaiah McKenzie to come out. There's just so much more to this Bills offense than what happened in that past game. Another point is Mac Jones. Listen, he's awesome. Love him. The dude has never played a 16 game season, nevertheless a 17 game season in his entire life.
That's the amount of games he played in his entire career at Bama, was 17.
It's asking a lot.
He has hit the rookie wall, and I think you can see it where the throws that were there in week 5 aren't there anymore. They're just not being made, and the offense is being adjusted to make up for that. But it's just like you guys said, the Bills are just too talented, and I love the pass this year. I do. I think you guys are talented. You guys have come a long way. This is a very successful season for the New England Patriots, no matter what happens.
Especially if you consider how you started.
Right, exact, 100%. But yeah, they don't have a chance in this game. I really don't. If they do, I will be shocked. I will be shocked if they win this game. I'll give you guys a lot of credit if you do, though. 100%.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But can I ask you a question to the Patriots fans in the room? Because this is obviously you guys watch them closer than I do. But do you find that Josh McDaniels, if he has any drawbacks or if you have any criticisms of him, is one of them that he tends to try to keep his hand in the stew a little bit when things aren't going right? I just think he tries to control the offense like almost too much. Like it's like just let him play to his strengths and let him try to like throw his way out of this slump. You know what I mean? Like let him try and get his way back into the game, as opposed to like he's always trying to be a little bit too clever for his own good. And I think in the playoffs against a dynamic team like Buffalo, like that could really be your undoing if he doesn't start well, if Mac Jones doesn't start well. Does anyone find that with McDaniels, or is that just, am I just making it up?
Do you think that's why maybe they're more successful at the end of games? Because you notice that too with teams like that, where once they get in that no huddle, they let them play.
Yeah, just let him play. That's your best
because
bet.
you can't
Just
talk to him on the headset all day, right? So you have to telegraph the plays, and then that's your hand being in the stew, right? Is you telegraphing those plays. I think that's always been who Bill and Josh are, and I think that was one of Tom's underlying criticisms of the both of them, is that there was always that much control and that much need to be a part of everything going on, which is why I think we've seen Tom Brady down in Tampa a lot look over to the sidelines at specifically Byron Leftwich and be like, no, I'm running A, B, and C. I'm not going to run your X, Y, and Z. But, we've talked about this. And I don't think it's in a disrespectful way towards Byron Leftwich. I think Byron Leftwich is a very good offensive coordinator, and the best thing that ever happened to his career was having Tom Brady, because I think he's learning so much from Tom Brady as a former NFL quarterback. But from a Mac Jones standpoint, Dave, to answer your question, yeah, absolutely. And that's one of my biggest criticisms of Josh, is that sometimes he tries to go back to the well on those plays that he digs out from the back of the playbook too often. And honestly, and I'm not saying that the interceptions by Mac Jones weren't Mac Jones's fault, but one of them was on a throw to N'Keal Harry to bring him back up after N'Keal Harry had dropped the ball in the previous play, and they tried to go back to him, and he forced it to him because that was his target, and that is, I feel, what the play call was.
I'll just say a couple, just one last thing. McDaniels has always done a too good of a job of making trick plays your offense instead of making trick plays a catalyst for your offense. He relies on them far too much, especially in situations where he's unsure of.
He sort of believes in his own myth a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like he believes that could be an offense instead of the catalyst. And then also, like to your point about Bobby and DK, like at the end of games, it looks like Mac is doing better. He's typically, when he looks that good, they're down 2 scores.
Yeah, it's garbage time, really. So, like, you can't really get, Yeah,
defense is letting up. So, a 35-yard completion doesn't look the same in the fourth with 4 minutes left and you're down by 15 as it would in the first.
So, after Mike gave the segue to us, enjoy this clip from our previous 100 shows.
You've been covering the Celtics for a long time, right? Has there ever been a period since you've been in town where they've had this much talent and underperformed this significantly?
Well, I mean, this is a long time. The 83 team, they were swept by the Bucks in the playoffs, and they had 4 Hall of Famers, so they lost a 4-0 series, and they had Mikhail Parrish Bird. They had Tiny Archibald. There's 4 Hall of Famers there. They were swept 4 straight. That was pretty bad. But anyway, they won 57 games during the season, so they weren't chumps. And they won the championship the next year when they acquired Dennis Johnson. But that would be the closest to being dysfunctional. It was the end of the term for Bill Fitch before they switched coaches, and some things had to happen. And there was some really dark days in the 70s when they had, McAdoo and Curtis Rowe and Sidney Wicks, and there was some dysfunction going on there, the end for Cowens, all that stuff. But this is a hard team to watch.
Yeah.
They are so soft at the end of these games. It just makes you want to kill yourself.
Yeah, I'm just sick of Josh though. So I don't particularly care what he played, what he tries to set together. I don't care. Like, so whatever, however you want to bash him, DK and Bobby, do so, but I can't fucking stand him. So he sucks to me. So but yes, let Mac play though.
Let's bring him back up in the coaching segment again, because he's going to be a big part of it. No, Bobby, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I have something that actually I think that was a good point about the hands in the well thing, because if you watch Man in the Arena, which is amazing. If anyone out there hasn't watched it yet, you fucking should, because it's unbelievable. Tom Brady is unreal.
I wonder if you would have said that 2 years ago, guys.
Bill O'Brien was the most fun and most successful Tom Brady has had as a New England Patriot, as a football player, is when he was at his top form. And do you know what Bill O'Brien did week in and week out, confided in Tom Brady, and let Tom Brady run Tom Brady's offense. They kind of masterminded it together. So I did just want to go back and be like, it's a good point.
Bill O'Brien's another good coach to bring up later, because he's been mentioned for a few jobs as well. But Bobby, while we're on the topic of you, your Cowboys take on the Jimmy Garoppolo-led San Francisco 49ers on Sunday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. That's 1:30 p.m. in Dave hours. What do you feel about this game against the 49ers? And I guess I see this one as another like high seed, low seed situation. Like I almost see this as a walkthrough for the Cowboys. What do you think?
No, listen, the 49ers are absolutely one of the more underrated teams in football. To be honest, they scare me. The one downfall of the Cowboys defense so far this year is north to south running. A team that just kind of runs it up the gut has been able to run it right up our throat. Which is kind of scary because they have Elijah Mitchell, Jeff Wilson. They have dudes that can really run up the gut. However, the thing that drives that San Francisco offense is Deebo Samuel. And the Cowboys have been successful, Alvin Kamara, at shutting down those dynamic running backs, those dudes who do everything. And I feel like that's really the biggest key to this game. If the Cowboys can shut down Deebo, shut down that rush offense, and make Jimmy throw the ball, saying 23 to 25 times, if he's above 23 to 25 passes in this game, that is the Cowboys' bread and butter right there. We'll force 2 to 3 turnovers. We'll have a great game. If the 49ers rush for over 150 yards in this game, the Dallas Cowboys are in trouble. And that scares the crap out of me. I loved it when we got that 3 seed. I was very happy. But when the 49ers were the draw, man, it honestly, to me, was one of the worst draws because we struggle against tight ends, George Kittle. We struggle against the rush, and that's what the Niners do. So that's what the Cowboys have to focus on, is getting the ball into Jimmy's hand. And then the other side of it is, man, if the offense doesn't show up, I don't know. I think they're going to.
I know you're coming at it from a Cowboys like fan perspective, but like I feel like anybody in the NFC would have been pissed if they drew the 49ers right now. Like they're so fucking hyped. Like they're so confidence high. Like I was like big on the Cowboys going into the playoffs. I was looking at my playoff bets, and then they ended up getting stuck with the Niners, which was like not even the most probable thing that was going to happen. And I was like, ooh, and it just like it fucked me up a little bit on like a lot of the bets I was going to make, because I honestly think the 49ers are just like, you know, everybody's least desired team to have drawn. So like you definitely drew the short straw here. That being said, if you're going to know what the Patriots-Bills game is going to look like in the first 5 minutes, you're sure as hell going to know what the Cowboys 49ers game is going to look like in the first 5 minutes. As a small side, by the way, the Cowboys and the 49ers playing in the playoffs makes me feel like I'm 11 years old again. It's great.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Like I love that this rivalry is heated back up. It's a great NFC rivalry. I love the 49ers being good. They're just in my head a team that should be good. So it's just going to be cool. But yeah, that being said, I think you're going to know if it's going to be, it's going to be based on Dak and what he looks like in the first 5 minutes that they're out on the field, at least on that side of the ball. I think the advantage you have for your defense is they only know how to play one way. So they're going to go in, and this is great for a playoff team. They're going to go in and they're going to play to their identity. And whatever happens, yeah, they might run it up the gut on you, whatever, but what's definitely not going to happen is they're not going to be able to avoid the pass rush. They're not going to be able to avoid the sack. And they're going to be shit scared of going deep every single time because all your secondary guys are ball hawks. So yeah, run it up the gut if you want. If your offense is working through the air and theirs isn't, that's all she wrote. You know, that's it. That's a fucking wrap. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's, yes, you're going to know in the first 5 minutes. It could be a long day for you, but I honestly think it's going to be a battle. It's super exciting. Everybody's like, there's a ton of good players on show. I think it's going to be a great game. I'm super pumped for it.
So, Bobby, I got a question for you, bro. So I'm gonna go Rick Pitino on you. So is Garrison Hurst walking through that door?
Garrison Hurst is not walking through that door.
Is Steve Young walking through that door?
No, he's not.
Is JJ Stokes walking through that door? No, right?
What
Jay
a
Rice?
name. No JJ Stokes, no.
Jay Rice, not Brian Young, whoever you want to put out there. None of those guys are walking through the door. So guess what? Cowboys they're gonna dog walk San Francisco on this weekend. Like, don't worry. Like, it's cute to give the humble response. As someone from the outside looking in, my brother's a 49ers fan, so I need y'all to dog walk them so I can talk shit to him over the weekend. I need y'all to win this game. But I got y'all winning this. Like, listen, this is not the rematch of the 90s. This is not even the teams of the 70s. Like, this is not that. Dallas is the better team, and if y'all just show up, it's over. It's over.
Dallas is the better team, and I agree that they're going to win. And I said it to start the segment, right? Like I said, they're going to basically, to quote Rayshon, they're going to dog walk the 49ers. However, what would be the weakest point in the Cowboys team, Bobby?
So it's twofold. It really depends if Dak doesn't show up.
Bingo.
That is the biggest weak point because I said it on, I think it was last week, weeks 1 through 9 is DVOA, which is for a quarterback. It's what keeps the drive going. It's the plays that really are the backbone of a long 10-11 play drive. Weeks 1 through 9, he was 3rd in the league. Weeks 9 and on, he's like 23rd. All right. He has weeks here and there where he's top 5. He's amazing. Those are the weeks we put up 50 points. If he's not on point, we struggle. That's what it comes down to. If we get the All-American Dak, I'm confident I think we can win this game by 30 points. If we get the Dak that's missing 3rd and 10, 2nd and 9 out routes, throwing them to the wrong shoulder, behind the dude, just missing the throws that he makes, we're in trouble. So I couldn't agree with DK more. You're going to know what game this is by the first 3 passes that Dak throws over 10 yards.
He's not going to have any excuses either because their secondary is all fucked up.
Yeah, so the first 3 passes, you'll know.
Yeah.
As an outsider, and so Bobby, I guess this is more of a question to you though. I don't think that's true. I think off the first, let's say 4 rushes of Zeke, if we see the old Zeke that we all grew up, came to love, I think that makes Dak better. Now, I personally believe that you're never going to win a Super Bowl if your best player is running back. Said it before, I'll say it again. I'll say it on episode 203. But I think Dak puts a lot of equity in how Zeke's playing and what he has to do to carry that team. So if he sees Zeke, make a cut in the backfield and then get tackled for a loss, not hit that burst, he thinks it has to be on him. Maybe he forces a throw. Maybe that dumbass of a head coach you have tells him to force more throws. And now you're in a situation where
I think they are going to stop the run though. Like, I think they have really good linebackers. I think they have really good run stopping. And I think it is going to come down to Dak regardless of what happens. And I think they should have that. They should know that going in. Like, it would be irresponsible for them to not be like, hey, Dak, you need to win us this game. We're not going to win it on the ground. Because they're hurting in their secondary, but all their linebackers are healthy and their linebackers are good as fuck.
Yeah, they have a very good front 7.
I mean, I'm just saying, if you look at all the Cowboys' losses and all of Dak's worst games, look at Zeke's performance too. There is a direct correlation between how he plays and how the rushing attack starts off.
Sure, but like, I'm still confused as to why they don't throw him the ball anymore. It just doesn't make any sense to me. He's like still fast.
We talked about it last week. DK,
Yeah, he's changing pace now. He's changing pace now. Pollard's the change of pace. Pollard comes in for passing downs. Pollard plays that dynamic role, and Zeke runs up the gut.
He doesn't really throw to him very often either, though. He doesn't really like dump it down like as effectively as I would like him to, and that's where I think he runs into trouble. Is because he's going over 10 yards every time, and like if you don't get that going, I mean that just might be the style of quarterback he is, and like if he can get it going, great. But if you don't get that going, then you are forcing shit. You are throwing shit into smaller pockets. You know what I mean? It's like, if you can just dump it down a couple of times, just loosen it up. It always annoys when I'm watching that Cowboys offense. Like the opposite of how I feel when I watch their defense, because I love watching their defense. But I'm like, dude, just like loosen it up a little bit. Like, let's like make some plays out of the backfield. You know what I mean? I just don't see it that often. And I think Zeke, in my eyes, at least, I don't know the numbers, but he was one of the best at that for like a long time. Like he could move from back there. So, you look at how the Chiefs play, like they build their whole offense from the line of scrimmage, like after the ball comes out of Mahomes' hands a lot of the time. And I just think like that's how you have to play to open up those deep throws, and I think that's why Dak runs into that trouble sometimes.
Does that come from Amari Cooper coming out and
being banged up?
Yeah, well, being a little upset that he wasn't getting the ball.
Yeah, I mean, so to piggyback off of what DK just said, completely. If you look at the Cowboys best games so far this year, it is when that backfield, and what Mike said, when that backfield is dynamic, especially, and listen, I don't mean to keep bringing up his name, but Tony Pollard, man, I honestly think he's one of the biggest X factors in this game. When Pollard is electric, when Pollard is making plays, the Cowboys offense is so different. And I honestly think at this point, when Tony Pollard is on the field, defenses are more scared of him than they are when Zeke's on the field. And I don't think that is a question anymore. Piggyback on what you said, Joe, Amari Cooper might, so as soon as I think was it the Patriots game or game after? It might have been the Vikings game. When he banged up his hamstring, that and Dak's injury were just such a obvious correlation of when that offense started to go downhill. When those two weren't on the same page, when they weren't at 100%, they're not connecting, that's when you see things go wrong. Don't forget, a year and a half ago, Cowboys fans, including myself, were questioning if Dak Prescott was a franchise quarterback. We're questioning if this guy could make these throws. And then who did the Cowboys give up a first-round pick for? Amari Cooper. And it changed everything. That season changed on a dime. And we went to the playoffs. It was amazing. Dak's a franchise quarterback again. I think Amari's a big piece of this offense. Those are the two X factors of the offense, Pollard and Amari.
Mike, this question kind of goes to you because we're gonna talk about the last wild card matchup that we haven't mentioned yet, and then we're gonna talk about the two teams that have a bye this week. But to lead into this, Dak Prescott, if he loses to the 49ers on Sunday afternoon, would we be able to start thinking about putting him in the same category as Aaron Rodgers and Matt Stafford?
No,
when it comes to playing in the playoffs?
No. I would say Dak has overcome more obstacles in his career already than Aaron Rodgers ever has. Right? I think to come back from that type of an injury, that catastrophic of an injury that you did last year, and in game one against the defending Super Bowl champions, to put up that type of performance and show you that he still is the guy, I think. In reality, we might look back and say in a couple of years, if they don't win a Super Bowl in this next 3, if he only just had a coach that was intelligent, right? That's what we always used to think about Matt Stafford. Turns out the guy just can't beat a good team. That's just the facts. That's it's history. I think what was his record, Bobby? Like 9-175 against us against teams with the winning record, but. Dak's the guy. He's the guy that you build a franchise around. And if, I think, I don't know if he has the clout yet, but if this doesn't work with McCarthy, I think if he wants to pick the coach, you bring it, you bring in whatever coach he wants to bring in, and you build that team around him. Aaron Rodgers was the product of a situation where, he had a Hall of Fame quarterback right behind him, and he still had a pretty good offensive scheme around him too. And the guy's a freak athlete, sure. And then he went to one Super Bowl and he won one, and he's never been back again. And he constantly chokes. So no,
and everybody had to fucking trip over their own dick on his way to the fucking that particular Super Bowl too. Like, it's not as if he came up against like an elite array of fucking teams in that NFC run. Fucking Jay Cutler had to like shoot himself in the fucking face for that shit to happen and like just embarrass us. So that wasn't even that good of a Bears team. That's all I'm saying. And we like almost had him.
He did beat if the Steelers had won that, we would have considered the Steelers a dynasty in the 2010s if they had won that one, because it would have been 2-3. So like he didn't beat that team. But no, I think Dak he's already in the upper echelon of NFL quarterbacks.
Well, you have to rate Aaron Rodgers higher than Dak Prescott right now, though.
Hold on, 3 or 5? I don't know.
No, I just mean like 1-to-1.
Listen, when you look at who you want to lead your football team, who you want to take your team into battle, it's in not all talent aside, which I guess is a lot aside for a quarterback football game. It's everything. But when you're looking at just like leadership skills and things like that, I honestly think Dak might be the top guy in the NFL. So if you can get 80 to 90% of what Aaron Rodgers is at,
do you think Dak Prescott's a better leader than Tom Brady?
Stop.
All right. Stop. No, maybe not. One top 5.
Hang on, he's top a better 5. Leader.
Hey, what's your chance, Bob? It's okay.
Top 5. Okay. Top 5. No, he's not Tom Brady. He's top 3. We'll go top 3. No, I'll go top 3. But if you can get that out of Dak, it's so pivotal that he has those leadership skills that I just think it raises that even more, which is why the Cowboys really tied their bandwagon to him. Regardless of his sometimes mediocre play, regardless of these things, the Cowboys look at him as someone they're going to tie their franchise to. So win or loss, it doesn't matter. He's not going to be put into that echelon of like losers in the playoffs because guess what? He's not going anywhere. And he's got to be back again with another shot to do it. So I just think the character he is and who he is got to keep him out of that can't win in the playoffs category for now.
This is how we're going to talk about Mac Jones in like 3 years, just so you know, after they beat the Bills on Sunday evening. So the only game we haven't talked about in the wild card round, which the Dak Prescott question was supposed to lead into, is Matt Stafford's Rams taking on Kyler Murray's Cardinals on Monday Night Football. This is an intriguing football game, guys. Like it really is. It's out there at SoFi Stadium in DK's backyard. I think DK actually owns part of SoFi Stadium. I'm really just trying to get him back focused on what we're talking about here. But the Cardinals and Rams on Monday Night Football. Ray, who takes this one and why?
Just to piss Mike off, I'm going with the Rams. I've been a Stafford supporter. I think Stafford, I wanted him here in New England. We talked about this, so
did Mike.
No,
Right.
he did. That's I forgot he did. He was saying to the Lions, whatever. He said Stafford can't win the big game, but I think that they find a way to get it done. Like Arizona's not ready. They're not. Like they're a good team. Obviously Kyler Murray is ascending. He's still maybe a year or two away from being a guy that you think can make a deep run. So, granted, he's already had a schedule, in my opinion, but yeah, I think that, if we're talking about legacy, like Matt Stafford, you got to win this game, bro. Like this is clearly the best team you've ever been on. Like you've got to at least get to the division round, at least. It's got to be you and Tampa Bay, like in the NFC Championship game. Like you cannot lose in the earlier round. But yeah, I'm riding with the Rams. I think Stafford has a great game against Arizona. I don't think Hopkins is coming back for Arizona, so I know that's a big.
He's not.
I know there was talks of him maybe coming back, but it's like, yeah, no. I just think that between Cooper Kupp is a fucking beast. And I just think that he's going to get whatever he wants against that secondary, as he's done on the whole league this year. And I think LA finds a way to get it done.
I mean, the Rams probably are going to win, but like I don't think that answers any Matt Stafford questions. I think at
least not yet. Yeah, not yet.
Yeah, but they're going to come up against a team. They're going to come up against a team in pretty short order afterwards. What that is likely going to test the Matt Stafford theory pretty effectively, and we're probably going to come to the same conclusion, right? It's not as if a very bank. Would you have the Cardinals if they were fully healthy though?
No, I still would pick the Rams.
Really? I feel like a fully healthy Cardinals, I'm taking the Cardinals. Just because of Matt Stafford, because I think he sucks.
Yeah, no. I mean, there's history behind that statement, so I get that. But
yeah, watching him play football, that's history.
No. I mean, also in division, so I get it. But it's just like I just think, maybe I'm biased towards this play. Like I think that I said, man, if he ever got around a team that can actually play, we would see it, and we saw it for a good amount of the year. Obviously, he tailed off. A little bit. They had some moments, some bad moments in the recent weeks, but yeah. No, I agree with you though, DK. I think this game would help it, obviously, but
they're probably looking at the Bucs after this, right? Like that's probably the most likely scenario.
Yeah, because they did what seed today? They did the 4 seed, right?
No, we're the 3. So if the
Rams are 4, right? Rams are 4.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, they would face Tampa.
But if the Cowboys won, you would play them. If the Niners,
if the Cowboys win, we play the winner of Arizona State or LA, no matter what.
Gotcha. So yeah, but if the Cowboys go through, they're smashing the fucking Rams.
Yeah, that I agree with. I agree with that. Yeah, I think that Dallas will beat LA if that's the case. So, but we got to get there. So, yep.
Yes, we do.
That Rams defense is pretty good. That team is actually top to bottom. Probably on paper is probably a top 3 team in the NFL. Like on paper, raw. Looking at who's on the roster,
I badly want a Cowboys Packers NFC Championship game.
I
would pay good money to see.
I want it from the bottom of my heart, but I also don't. I also don't want it.
Dude,
from
you
the
got to
bottom
get
of
your
my mouth.
revenge. You got to get your revenge, Bobby.
Oh, bro,
Time.
it's so many
fucking
heartbreaks.
time.
DK, did
The
you ever?
frozen
Let me ask
tundra.
you this. Did you ever get your revenge?
No, Peyton Manning retired.
Yeah. Well, not Peyton. Never mind. I meant on Rodgers. Yeah.
No, hey, Dave, that Super Bowl doesn't exist anymore. I was wrong about Odell Beckham Jr., though. I will admit that I was wrong about Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah, we told you that. We told you that from the beginning, though, dude. Don't need to own that one.
I told Bobby what Danny was going to do, and you guys never believed me there either. So what does it matter what you told me at the time?
No, side note, I'll never forget.
Hey, we just wanted him here, bro. We just wanted him here. I know you think that.
No way. With the way that this Patriots team is constructed right now, he would have made it would have been a problem.
He got us to 11-6 and 12-5, and we ended up having the first round bye. I'd have taken. So
I'm just glad Mike didn't get Russell Westbrook on the fucking Celtics, to be quite honest with you. Because I was like, Jesus, I hope he doesn't have anybody's ear, because that's going to be a disaster.
Bobby,
I'll never forget being in a Dunkin' Donuts drive-thru, seeing the alert that said Gordon Hayward head into Hornets. Celtics get nothing. I literally looked at it and went, fucking Joe. It was the first thing I said. And Katie was crying next to me. She goes, what? I was like, don't even worry about it.
Yeah, dude, but don't forget that like the shot heard around the world a few weeks before that was Joe going, no way they're going to get it with less than 2 seconds left and hit a 3 from the fucking corner. No way they're going to get it for oh my God. And I was like slightly delayed, and I just like watched it go in, and like we literally have been trashed since that moment. We have been trashed since that moment. So like, honestly, every time you say to yourself, just remember Danny, fucking remember that too. Okay. That one counts also.
That was the first real, like, pathetic blown lead too. But wait, we can't start ourselves a podcast right now. Wait, hang on.
Anyway,
time out.
Back to the NFL.
So before you go, I think people and I guess you guys include are forgetting how good the goddamn Cardinals were when they had DeAndre Hopkins, when they were healthy.
I wasn't. I said I had them if they were all healthy. Fuck you.
Listen, beside you. So if they were healthy, I think there's no doubt about it. The Rams are too soft. The Cardinals are too talented. If the Cardinals are healthy, they beat the Rams for sure. DeAndre Hopkins is such a big piece of this offense. It's immeasurable what he does for Kyler Murray. Like, you can't measure it. So,
well, there are the catching statistics.
You can't. Just watching the eye test, whatever the fuck.
Oh, it's the confidence. Though,
Bobby's
Bobby.
like, he washes his car on the weekends. He takes soup to his mom when she's sick.
Bro,
you cannot measure this shit.
He pays for his happy end. Oh no, that's Deshaun Watson.
Mike, go ahead.
I was going to say real quick before you go, I think low key what everyone's missing out here on, because it's easy to focus on Stafford. We all said that Sean McVay would win a Super Bowl if he had a quarterback that can throw. He does now. So do it. Or this is an indictment on you as a coach now too.
Does he?
Yes. I mean, Matt Stafford can do a lot of things. Throw is one of them.
Yeah, but like, you're not going to blame Sean McVay if Matt Stafford goes out there and stinks up the fucking place. You're going to blame Matt Stafford.
So wait. So
Mike,
still,
you might.
To this day,
I will. But...
Mike, it wasn't 9. Matthew Stafford has never beat a team with 10 wins.
Correct.
In his career. It has never
Yeah, but the
happened.
natural rebuttal to that, in fairness, just to be the devil's advocate, is he played on the Detroit Lions, the worst fucking franchise in the world.
With one of the greatest wide receivers of all time.
Yeah, when he was like a baby.
Listen, I can tell.
I'm not defending Matt Stafford. Fuck Matt Stafford.
Yeah, listen, I can tell you that like Trent Dilfer's beat a team with 10 wins. Matt Moore's beat a team with 10 wins. There's a lot of quarterbacks out there who have beaten a team with 10 wins.
Context matters. Don't do that, sir.
Just saying.
Yeah,
Especially with Trent Dilfer. Context matters.
That's right.
We have the best fucking defense of all time. Context matters, sir.
So
Just saying.
Next, we're going to move into Black Monday and head coaches in the NFL that have lost their job and head coach openings in the NFL. And actually, there's a head coach opening in the playoffs. So that and more, and Dave's celebration of Matt Nagy leaving Chicago coming up after this next clip from Craig.
Anyway,
So Mac Jones, Mike, you threw in a bunch of numbers here regarding Mac Jones. It was very difficult for Mac Jones to be bad at Alabama. We just talked about that, right, Dave? And Ray, you and I have talked about SEC quarterbacks, how they stink when they get to the NFL. So, Mike, read us through Mac Jones and what he did with two of the best wide receivers in college football.
Yeah. So this is why I'm irritated by this pick, right? So he had a great year last year, no doubt about it. In a year where where Alabama only played SEC opponents, I get that too. But also in a year where SEC defenders opted out, that he was not playing against the best and only right opponent. So, but 100 passing yards, 41 touchdowns, 4 picks. I get it. I'm pretty certain that every single one of us could account for 28 to 35 touchdowns with Devontae Smith and Waddle to throw to. But I'm still not sold on this, man. I think Bill wanted him the entire time. He was never going to move for him. And Grady, he got his guy. But if he starts this year at any point in time, it's because things are going really bad. It's because the quarterback room that now has Jarrett Stidham and Cam Newton in it are that bad. So it's almost, if we want Mac Jones to do well in the NFL, I think he should sit for a year. I think he's probably, I've heard that he's one of the most pro-ready quarterbacks in the draft. He's throwing to Smith and those people. He'll actually go to, I guess Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith are pretty good. I'll give him that. But I don't love this pick. I've never been so mad at Bill doing what I've been asking him to do for the last 5 years. Like I begged him to take a quarterback in the first round for the last 3 months. And then he did. I'm still pissed off.
Well, you knew 3 of them were going to be gone. And it's interesting. I'm glad you brought up the point where the people have said that he's the most pro-ready quarterback on a certain radio program, on a certain radio station this afternoon. To Joe in missing the point, the 100th episode with an asterisk. It's like all those Patriots Super Bowls. In the last few days,
did he just say it? Did he just say that?
The NFL coaches,
play that clip on every show.
The NFL coaching carousel has begun, and one of the first casualties was actually the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. So the Las Vegas Raiders, though they are in the playoffs, technically have a head coach opening. The Jacksonville Jaguars fired Urban Meyer because he's a piece of trash. So they have a head coach opening. And then on Monday, we got word that there was going to be a few more, and one that was very surprising. Vic Fangio fired in Denver, Matt Nagy fired in Chicago, Brian Flores, for some reason, fired from Miami. And then on the day that we are recording this, January 11th, Joe Judge was fired after apparently having a meeting with the Maras, the owners of the New York Giants, about what he had planned to better the franchise. Apparently, after 24 hours of overlooking his plan, they said, nah, and they told him to kick rocks. So he'll be back in New England pretty quick as the special teams coordinator. But guys, let's start with Dave, because Dave, after 2 years of yelling and screaming at the Discord, at your microphone, it finally happened. Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace fired from your Chicago Bears. Take a lap.
Thanks. Yeah. It's been tough, man. It's been a heavy albatross to carry. I appreciate you guys understanding. I'll tell you, it's the Matt Nagy show. Whilst corresponded better with the podcast, as unpleasant as it was, and I was out on him when we were winning, if you guys remember, because you could just tell he sucked. The Ryan Pace show has been really the most painful thing to have to live through. That guy is a knucklehead, and I could barely say it out loud. It was really hard to criticize him because I've known for so many years that it's festered now into this horrible thing where I just knew every decision he made was bad. And when he finally got Justin Fields, it was the most un-Ryan Pace thing to do, to actually do a good thing. Although he did the exact same thing, just on the wrong guy, the first time around. That wasn't a good look. But that being over is great. It feels like a weight's lifted off. I think we have a lot of really good personnel. I think we've got a really talented young quarterback. I think that the most obvious coaching and like front office flaws in the league were in Chicago because of the personnel that they have. Like, I think a lot of people were looking at that team going, come on, man, you guys are better than this. So it's got to be the coaches, and they're making terrible bonehead decisions, going for it on fourth down with dumbass 4th and 1 plays. Like, I don't have to live through that anymore. And it's nice. The question now is, who do we get? And there's like a lot of great candidates out there. And the most important thing is they're not Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy. And that's going to be their most important quality coming into this, into these interviews. But then like the Dolphins do some dumb shit, like fire Flores. I'm like, fucking sign him up, dude. Like that guy could come in and coach the Bears. And like, it depends on what your long-term goal is here. Like, are you trying to win now? Because I think that you potentially could. I think you could potentially, if you get the right guy for Justin Fields, and you get and you focus your head coach and GM search on, let's make Justin Fields good now. He's got Darnell Mooney. He's got David Montgomery. He's got a good young defense on the other side of the ball. Like, you might think of some of the older guys, like Akeem Hicks and stuff, like when he first comes to your mind. But we have Roquan Smith. Like, we have guys on both sides of the ball that are young that you could like really build a team around long term. But also, we have a lot of really good players that are veterans. So the floor is open for somebody to come in with a vision and say, I think this is where the Bears need to go in the next 2 years or 3 to 5 years or whatever it is. And I think that's what they should be like listening for when they interview these candidates. Like, what are you going to bring to the table? Like, what are you like? Paint us a picture of what this team's going to look like over the next few years. And honestly, if it's let's make Justin Fields great at year 5 or year 4, that's fine with me. Or if it's I can make Justin Fields great next year, that's fucking fine with me too. So whatever. And there's candidates in both jobs that like look like they could do either of those things. I think if you bring Flores here, it's a longer term project. But if you bring Harbaugh in, maybe you're going for something next year or the year after. Like, I genuinely believe that we do have great personnel and they've been horrifically undervalued. And if you look at the Dallas Cowboys defense, it just goes to show you can have the right personnel and the wrong coach. And make a change at coaching, and all of a sudden, the floodgates open. And I think if you remember, we've spent some time watching the Bears fucking suck. So I understand, like, your apprehension if you have it. But if you remember, there were some pretty good signs, for a little while there, especially defensively. And we do have some weapons that I think some people would be envious of. I think there's some receivers that the Patriots would fucking love to have, to be quite honest with you. And like, the fucking sky's the limit, guys. The fucking sky's the limit. It's a fucking happy week for me. Fuck those guys. They were the worst. I should have known because of the visor. I should have known right away.
Did Brian Flores do a good enough job with Tua Tagovailoa?
That's when he might not be the best for Justin Fields in that sense. I think Fields is more talented personally, but again, I'm biased. But yes, I agree. It's more of like a team building exercise if you bring him in for that. But again, it depends. I think you do GM first, and I think you have him paint you a picture of what it's going to look like, and then go get your man. Just go get your man. Whatever you need, we'll back you. Just go get it. Whether it's pulling Harbaugh in or the Ohio State guy or the fucking and not. I'd prefer not the Chiefs offensive coordinator, but like whatever. Like if that's the vision, we already had a Chiefs offensive coordinator. It didn't go well. I don't know if you remember. He just got fired a few days ago. But it's like having these guys at whatever, if we get the right guy at GM, I think the dominoes will fall after that. That's how I think we should approach it. I hope they do. They'll probably fuck it up though.
We don't need to go through the names of the general manager candidates for the Chicago Bears. They're all, most of them are, you kind of just listed out a few of them by job, but the notable head coaching, requests or guys that they're going to interview are Leslie Frazier and Brian Dable, who are the defensive and offensive coordinators of the Bills, both offensive and defensive coordinators for the Buccaneers, Todd Bowles and Byron Leftwich. And then Dan Quinn, who is the Cowboys defensive coordinator.
He's my number one.
Former head coaches Doug Peterson and Brian Flores. And you want Dan Quinn, and I think Bobby would be very. I loved with Dan Quinn, 28-3 aside, what Dan Quinn did in Atlanta and how he built that team. I think
that was Matt Ryan's fault.
Could have gone better.
Get Dan Quinn in here.
Just to be clear, like he didn't build that team, which is why I would advocate that. I said this to Dave yesterday. Like if you have the vacancy, get Dimitrov. Dimitrov knows how to build a team from the ground up and surround it with young talent. He built what should have been a wagon in Atlanta. It just happens that you have a quarterback with no nuts, and you don't have that in Chicago. I mean, I think Justin Fields is the guy that just needs to be surrounded. So if you get Dan Quinn and Dimitrov in Chicago to do a do-over, they could wreak havoc in that division for the next 5 to 7 years.
And the time is right. Because what's his name? Aaron Rodgers is outed himself as a fucking roof shingle of a human being and has like basically done the PR tour from fucking hell for the last 6 months. He's literally the dumbest man I'm forced to listen to other than Joe Rogan, the guy he listens to. So like, it's been great. And like, he's, I know the Packers are the best team. I know I'm probably going to have to suffer a few another couple, but he is old. He is certifiably, I believe he's just turned 75. So like, I think that like being a 75-year-old quarterback is tough. And I think he's on his way out. So like the time is ripe. It's time. The fucking Vikings are trash. The fucking Lions will always be trash. I'm 99% sure Aaron Rodgers is 113 years old today. So just get him the fuck out of here. The Packers will get worse. The time, we gotta make this. We gotta make the right choice. We have to make the right choice here. Otherwise, it's the franchise is on the line here. We don't have much more time left.
You could live in a world very soon where the starting quarterbacks in that division are Justin Fields, Jordan Love, Kirk Cousins, and Jared Goff. And if you
you want to be the guys with Justin Fields in that situation,
right? Jordan Love blows, by the way. So to go back to first what DK said about that about their GM. He really is probably one of the worst GMs I've maybe.
Dave Gettleman in New York, who just retired, was way worse than Ryan Pace, but that's personal opinion.
It's it's close. I would just go through. So Parnell McPhee, 5 years, $40 million, $16 million guaranteed, cut the next year. Mike Glennon, 3 years, $45 million, $18.5 million guaranteed, cut the next year. Prince Amukamura, 1 year, $7 million guaranteed, re-signed the next year, 3 years, $27 million, $18 million guaranteed, cut the next year.
Signed Andy Dalton and then went to fucking proceed to draft Justin Fields anyway, showing that he knew nothing of any sort of semblance of a fucking plan.
Traded a first-round pick for Nick Foles. Yep, first-round pick for Nick Foles. Or
traded up to get Mitch Trubisky. It's missed out on Deshaun Watson, although that might have been a blessing in disguise. Missed out on Patrick Mahomes in that draft by trading up. It's crazy. It's negligence.
Pick Kevin White 5th. Granted, injuries had a lot to do with that.
He was good. He was good in college. To be fair,
still 5th. That's always going to be a sore. That's always going to be a sore on the record.
That was tough. That was tough.
That's such an addition by subtraction, man. I can't even say. The other thing is, I feel your relief, DK. I completely understand what you've been going through. I went through a decade of Matt Nagy and Jason Garrett, so completely get it, man. I couldn't be happier for you. Best candidate is Jim Harbaugh. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
I wouldn't be mad.
What he did with a less talented quarterback in Colin Kaepernick shows you what he could do with Justin Fields, man. Justin Fields could be Lamar Jackson, but someone who can actually make a 3rd and 12 throw. Sorry, Ray. He could be a guy who could actually make those plays if he has the right coach. And I really think Harbaugh's the guy, man. I mean, you look back at that for his 49ers seasons, Colin Kaepernick, that 1 year we were talking about earlier, lit the league on fire. This dude had 172 rushing yards in a playoff game. As a quarterback, Michael Vick never even did that. Like, the best athletic quarterbacks have never done that. Jim Harbaugh got Colin Kaepernick to do it with that offense. So I think Harbaugh and Fields is a match made in heaven, man.
Well, I would also take the Bills offensive coordinator, I forget his name, but I think he...
Same thing with Josh Allen, right? Same
thing. Yeah, he would go well with Justin Fields. I would just say, we don't have to spend too much more time on this, but I will just say I'm a strong believer that the state that the team is in right now, the GM is the most important role to fill because we're lacking in draft capital. We have a pretty wage-heavy team right now. Like the contracts on the defensive side of the ball, a couple of veteran contracts aren't looking super great. So unless you get a Jim Harbaugh guy in to be your head coach to try to do something now, you got to get the right GM in, dude. Because it's going to be a few years before we can actually start a real build again. And I need a guy that's going to make the right choices because he's going to need 5 to 7 years, most likely. Unless we get a great coach and can do something miraculous, like I was saying earlier. But I just think the GM role is more important in this particular situation.
You don't want to be like, the Jets and do the draft and then fire your GM 2 days later. But the GM do the entire draft and be like, yeah, we didn't like that. Get out.
Who is the team whose GM is going to quote unquote retire after the draft? I saw it on a scroll the other day. I can't remember who it is. He's going to do the draft and then retire. And it's like, well, no, he's been bad anyway. So why even do that?
It's the Steelers guy.
Is it the Steelers guy?
Kevin Colbert. Yeah. He's $1 billion. And he's $1 billion in GM years. And I think that's why.
Probably. So another team or our second team with a head coaching vacancy is the Denver Broncos, who fired Vic Fangio, who I think we all kind of had on the hot seat. And Ray, one of their top candidates is Patriots linebackers coach Gerard Mayo. Is he ready to be an NFL head coach?
I think he is, honestly. I know, people speak of him highly over here in this, in this area. So yeah, like I said, he was a smart player. There's a reason why Belichick drafted him 10th overall back in 2008 out of Tennessee. Was the leader really from day one on that defense once he got there. Honestly, for the 6-7 years he was here. So yeah, and then he brought him back. Brought him back to the coaching staff, and he's learned a lot, I think, under Bill on the last few years. So yeah, I think that, wherever he goes, I think similar to where Brian Flores was down there. So yeah, down in Miami. So yeah, I think that I think Mayo definitely is ready and deserves a chance to be head coach.
Yeah, and again, Bobby, Dan Quinn, Kellen Moore, both are candidates for the Denver Broncos. I think we know what you have to say about both of those guys. And I think Dan Quinn would be a great spot for him, because they're so defense heavy.
Let me just tell you what I have to say about Kellen Moore as a candidate is I hope someone hires him. I'm just throwing that out there. So if someone hires him, I'm not going to be that disappointed about it. So good luck to whoever does that. Dan Quinn, I'm going to be devastated, though, man. I love the defense. I hope he doesn't go.
And just to go back on the Gerard Mayo part, because I just brought up Dan Quinn, and Gerard Mayo is obviously a defensive guy and was the de facto defensive coordinator, right, Ray? So, I agree with you that he's ready, but it's so weird because, what else has he done? You look at his coaching resume, and it's like, yeah, all right, he's got more coaching experience than Jason Kidd, so I guess already it makes sense in a vacuum, right? But besides being the Patriots linebacker coach and working next to Steve Belichick, I don't know.
Don't disgrace Gerard Mayo by mentioning that asshole's name.
No, it's Bill. Yeah, fuck Steve. I'm like, Steve's a joke.
It's Bill. Steve Belichick is just like I said, he's just a sperm coordinator. It's just because he's his kid. That's it. He's nothing. And Bill took over that defense when I got better. He should have propelled and elevated Gerard Mayo to make it look like it was him that's doing it, because he should get a job somewhere else.
So why didn't he?
Because he probably wants to keep him.
Because maybe he wants to keep him. B, because if he elevated Gerard, then he would be lowering his son. That's just nepotism right there. And I think Gerard needs to leave New England, and we need to figure out what type of a coach he is. And hopefully he's not the same type of a coach that every single other coach under the belt.
I thought he was going to Philly last year. I did. I think we talked about it. I thought he was going to Philly. They chose the highest Sirianni. I mean, obviously it was good right now because they're going to the playoffs. But yeah, but back to what DK was saying, I didn't even notice that. I didn't even think of Harbaugh being the guy over there in Chicago.
Well, he used to be a quarterback for us, actually.
Oh, yeah, no, I know. I know. He played.
He was
there.
not great.
Yeah, I know. But I didn't even think about that. And yeah, he did do a good job, Cap. And at the time, he was just better than Alex Smith. So we could say that he wasn't that talented, but he was just better than Alex Smith at that moment. Even though Alex Smith had a million different coordinators and coaches by that time he got there. So yeah, that there's a lot of guys out there. I want Flores back on staff here immediately. I know that's not going to happen because some teams probably want to hire him as they should. I think the Giants would be a good move for Florida. I think Chicago would be a good move. Personally, I think Chicago probably should be the one or two, like that should be the first or second option for most head coaches that need a job. To get a chance to get Fields, Khalil Mack, Allen Robinson.
If they sign him back.
Right now, yeah, but I'm saying just what they have currently, like you have to think about, okay, is it going to be colder than winter? Sure. But a chance to maybe host a game at the new Soldiers Field.
I'd like to think that the prestige of franchise will elevate us as an option above the other possible candidates. I like to think that, but then I remember we haven't won shit in like 20 fucking years, so I don't know.
Yeah, no, no, I totally understand it, but it's not like just last year, regardless of record, you made the playoffs. So it's not like, oh my God, they haven't made the playoffs in 10 or 11 years. Like they made the playoffs just 2 years ago. Like I said, have a new young quarterback. Like, so there are building block pieces there that a GM and coach should want to be there. Like we all know, like Lovett Smith got a raw deal over there. We know that. Like that's you can look back and that.
100%.
Someone that we haven't even noticed. I think Joe's brought him up, or Mike's brought him up. I can't remember who, but Jim Caldwell is someone who should be considered. The man goes 9-7. I think in Detroit. The man went 9-7 with our guy Matthew Stafford. He goes 9-7, and you fire him? Really? Like,
two straight years too.
3 straight seasons. Yeah. The man has a winning record in Detroit. Yeah. In Detroit, it's just like I don't understand that. I don't get it. That's worse than the Flores fired. That was worse than that.
Wow.
It's a joke.
Well, actually, say that it's even worse, especially when you consider what Joe just said. Is they fired Jim Caldwell to hire fucking Matt Patricia.
Patricia.
That's so bad.
But that's what Mike just said.
They hired the evil Craig. They hired the evil Craig in Detroit, and he did nothing over there. I love you, Craig.
Wow, you just really
that's the quote right there, baby. They hired the evil Craig over there, and he did nothing over there.
That's why, like, you don't trust the Belichick coaching tree. Don't do it.
There's only been one successful coach to come out of it, and he just got fired.
Well, 2.
O'Brien
was...
Man, Brady don't count. I don't care, Joe. I know Joe told me a while ago that he said Brady don't count. Brady will count. I'm counting Brady.
He doesn't count.
He counts. Brady counts, man.
Billy O'Brien would be the other one. He had 4 division titles in Houston, and he's also the reason that Mike Vrabel is now a head coach. So Vrabel falls under the Billy O'Brien coaching tree.
That's fair.
That's so bad, though. That shouldn't be the case. He was so bad. That shouldn't matter. No, he's on Billy.
We know what kind of shambles that Houston organization is in, and I thought the same thing when O'Brien left, and I thought he was going insane. But after seeing what happened after he left, I don't think he was the problem. I mean, we all know McNair is the owner.
He was problem.
He traded DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson and a third-round pick. So
that alone gets you. That alone should have got him on.
There's got to be. I agree. You don't make that move, but knowing what happened after what happened and what J.J. Watt said, if J.J. Watt was fed up, there was a lot more going on there than what Bill O'Brien was doing. I mean,
for sure. I mean, their owner is trash. We know that. And poor David Culley, like he's out of there. Like, listen, bro, you're literally a placeholder. Which we talked about early on in the show. Early on in the podcast, I don't know the show particularly, but just hated seeing, African American coaches, really coaches in general, but especially African American coaches being placeholders. And that's literally like, bro, he's 65. Like, you're on the way out, Dave. Like, you old, dog. Like, you should not have taken that job. You should have just stayed up there in Baltimore under Harbaugh. Just continue to coach, get your retirement plan, big dog. And, but I get it. Houston is Houston. It's a great city. I know from personal experience, but we'll just leave it at that. But it's like, come on, man. Like, I don't know. Maybe Flores goes down there with Casario. Maybe he goes down there with him. I hope not. I want Flores to be back here managing this defense. I really do. I just think that we're missing that. And but that's just me being biased. But we'll see what happens.
What if he was a placeholder for Matt Patricia? So last year we said that the Houston job was the most undesirable job in the NFL, And now the most undesirable job in the NFL has to be the Jacksonville Jaguars.
No. No.
Hang on. Let me finish my thought because it was going to be funny.
Set the scene.
There's a lot of names that have been thrown around with all the other jobs that should be right, including Bill O'Brien and Todd Bowles, Dan Quinn. Who should they hire, and would it be criminal to not hire Byron Leftwich?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
100%.
No. I think Byron Leftwich deserves better than that job.
Oh, absolutely.
I think Byron needs to go into a situation where they have a capable and steady GM and owner with a plan in place, so that when they fire him after going 9-7 for 3 straight years, he can easily get a job after that, because that happens a lot in that league apparently. But no, I think that GM is trash. The fact that Sean Khan is not going to fire the GM who brought in Urban Meyer and making him part of the new transition team is embarrassing.
But Khan said that he was going to be the one to make all the final decisions on everything.
Great. So fire GM.
Was there ever a more predictable dumpster fire than Urban Meyer on the Jacksonville? We all sat here on this podcast the day they hired him, like, well, that's going to be a fucking disaster.
Bobby, you know what the worst part about it is? It was worse than we all thought it was going to be.
It really was. Yeah,
like
100%.
he made Saban's run with the Dolphins look like Belichick in the glory days. Like, that's how bad it was.
He went 9-7 though.
He made Bobby Petrino look
right. Maybe went 9-7, so it's how people forget that because of how we ducked out in the middle. You know what? He's
Bobby Petrino. I think he's closer to Bobby Petrino.
This is why we're on the same page. Like it's more about Bobby Petrino in the land like that. That's what that was like. Let me just kind of stick away in the night, and I'm gonna head back up to Louisville. So it was ridiculous.
Funny, those connections actually correlate. A couple more things pop in my head. Correlate actually pretty well. So, do you remember what happened with Bobby Petrino? Actually, I think he was gone at the time by then. But remember when he was at Rutgers, I think it was, or I don't know. His next job, where he was on the motorcycle with his mistress and got caught because he crashed his motorcycle. And it was the whole thing where there was some like text messages, the whole thing. Take Urban Meyer with his pictures of that girl grinded on him. Compare it right to that Petrino scandal, man. I think that's such a perfect comparison.
Yeah, wild.
And that's the Jacksonville job. I think it's going to be more dumpster fires like that. I mean, we've seen a lot in the NFL. We've seen a lot, like Mike said, where we've seen coaches fired after having multiple winning seasons in a row. Brian Flores. We've seen head coaches fired for grinding on their mistress at the bar that they own. There's no way his wife didn't know what was going on. That's a whole nother story for another time. But there's no way. So the Miami job. What's
they
that?
Always know.
The episode 104. We could say.
Yeah, episode 104. NFL coaches and their swinging lifestyle. The Miami Dolphins are looking for a head coach. A weird name that's jumped out here is Vance Joseph. First time I've seen that one thrown back out there. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think
absolutely not.
Terrible job.
I'm sorry. And once again, I know I'm supposed to advocate. Well, not supposed to. I try to advocate. Listen, he's not that guy. Sorry. You can call me whatever you want to call me as you listen to this. Say, oh, you supposed no, fuck that. Vance Joseph is not that guy. If you want to bring you can bring back Leslie Frazier. That's the name that came up. Bring Leslie Frazier, Lovie Smith, Jim Caldwell. Even what's the guy that was in not Baltimore? Well, he wasn't Baltimore. He went to Cincinnati. Marvin Lewis.
Stop.
Over Vance Joseph, cut it out.
Vance Joseph was garbage. Don't hire Vance Joseph.
Vance Joseph. No way. Not doing it. No way. Sorry.
Can't do it. Whoa.
Can't do it. Can't win with him. Mike, bring back my 772. Can't do it.
One job I forgot to mention was that Mike Zimmer, the one-eyed wonder, was fired in Minnesota. I don't know. I thought he was pretty mediocre.
It was time to go. It was one of those. It was just time to go.
Been there 8 years. You went to the playoffs.
It was Jason Garrett status though, where it's like, listen, you're doing the job. You're you're doing your minimum to keep us competitive. You need
also,
more, man. Eventually, you need some kind of sign, something.
That team's marker when he first got there was like a stingy defense, right? And all they needed was a quarterback to come in there like that can just make electric plays every once in a while, but just manage the game, and then they'd win. Turns out they still can't. And that's all, that's Kirk Cousins. I think that guy's an absolute clown and a choke artist. But I think it also because it's also with the coach. So if you more of an offensive coach, like Billy O'Brien should go to, if Kirk Cousins is going to stay in Minnesota, if I was Billy O'Brien, I'd go there. Because you have all pieces to make that work.
They had the guy there when he tore his ACL.
Mike, question for you. Billy O'Brien, we keep bringing up his name. Does he get a job? Set follow-up question. Did Man in the Arena have a little bit of public PR for Billy O'Brien when it comes to that?
No,
I think it did a little bit.
No, I think Billy's PR tour was done with his stint in Alabama.
Yeah,
I think when you see the success that they were able to replicate after Tua, after Mac, that is sure that system, but the kid this year, like he broke all records for Alabama quarterbacks, and that's a testament to Billy's ability to coach. So I think he does. Does he deserve one? I don't know, but the 4 division titles, yeah, I think you give him another shot. He joins a long list of coaches, and he's not at the top of the list. That should be looked over again and rehired in that league.
Could he be a guy, Mike, though, that would stay in the college ranks, not necessarily as a coordinator, but a head coach, and try and take a team?
I'm not like the biggest college football savant, but I think you have to have success as a head coach pretty quickly in that league to become to start getting recruiting classes there. I'm not sure if Billy O'Brien goes to another
Deion Sanders,
another D1 school, if he has the clout that that Deion does, and especially as Nick Saban does. So I think O'Brien is tailor made for the NFL. He just needs the right situation.
I think he'd do well up here. I think he'd do well at Boston College. I do.
Oh, I thought you knew the Patriots as a success.
Oh no, yeah, no, not a Patriots. Sorry, I meant to say.
I actually was going to agree with that.
Yeah, someone called. Yeah, I think he'd be fine at BC. I think you do just fine up here.
Such a crapshoot up there on Chestnut Hill, though, because it's just so hard.
It's like if a tree falls in the woods, but nobody hears it did actually fall. Like nobody truly cares about Boston College in the area.
I mean, if you're getting recruited by ACC schools, are you going to go to Blacksburg, Miami, or Chestnut Hill?
But Blacksburg was a senior at one point. I mean, Frank, Beamer ball was something, man. From the Mike Vick days, and then obviously his brother going there. They had a lot of time come through Virginia Tech at some point. So it just depends on how good the school is, and are you a coach that's going to get guys to the league? Can you make them leaders and can you make them future leaders essentially? That's what has to happen. So
Hatley has a good handle on that program. Now look out for BC the next couple of years. They would have been better. They would have been better this year. Jerkovich didn't get hurt, man. He's
a beast.
They were in business this year if he didn't get hurt.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I think if you could get him. We seen when he's done with quarterback. We talked about Brayshawn being that guy. So if you get him with Phil Jerkovich, hey, look out.
Gotta say,
this is a whole nother show for a whole nother topic for another show. But I think one big thing that college football needs to do, and Nick Saban came out and said it as it pertained to the NIL stuff, the licensing, individual licensing and stuff like that. And someone who works closely with college athletics, I've seen this even at a low level, but some of these guys are making a lot of money. I think one of the biggest things and one of the best things college football could do is basically tell all these big 5 schools in the SEC to screw that. Hey, we understand that you're the best, but we need to start incorporating more of these teams. And instead of going with the big 5, they need to go to something more like a 16-team playoff, where it's a little bit more like the college basketball tournament, where if you win your conference, you get into the tournament. and it extends it out a few more weeks, you can still do bowl games. You can still make your money. You can still market these players and these coaches. These kids get more exposure. They're on a national stage. I mean, we know these teams and these players because we follow it, but it could really make the casual fan that much more. And granted, I'm not a marketing person. I'm not at the D1 level. I don't work at the NCAA, but
for now,
you know, like these changes can be made, and it can make a lot of money, and it can make a lot of money for a lot of these schools that don't. And that's what it comes down to, is that these Power 5 schools don't want to lose that money to these smaller schools in the Sun Belt, in the ACC, in the Conference USA, in the American Athletic Conference. Like, they don't want to lose that money to those schools. And I get it, but it's foolish at the end of the day, because at the Division III level, and even in the Division II, and in the FCS, and North Dakota State just won its like 7th championship, and they're a wagon. And people like, they got to be in the FBS. Hell no, they don't want to be in the FBS. They're making their money down at the FCS, and they can go out and recruit kids and say, man, look at this. We've won 7 national championships at the FCS level. Come and be a part of that. College football needs to do the same thing at the FBS level and make a 16-team playoff. And if you win your conference, you're in. And then they can add in other teams that fall in behind, that may not win their conference, but are good enough to get there. It would make a lot of money, and a lot of these coaches would be more successful, or have more. Bill O'Brien would be more likely to stay in college if he knew he could take a team and elevate them to the level that Deion Sanders is trying to do with Jackson State.
Right. Well, speaking of money, and it's almost like we've all done this before. We are on college sport. We might as well talk about last night before we get out of here. Money being made all over the field for the Georgia Bulldogs last night, man.
The Georgia Bulldogs are the national champions of the college football playoff, the FBS. Tell us more about the money that these kids are making.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they were straight money last night. I mean, listen, my brother and I put a ticket for Alabama. We obviously lost that ticket for Alabama because Georgia was on fire. I mean, it was kind of a slow start. It was kind of looking like the Auburn-Oregon game, I think, in 2011. It was pretty slow to start. And I was like, oh, man, this is kind of a dud. But it definitely picked up in the second half. Losing Jamison Williams for Alabama was huge. We learned that their receiving core is not as good when you lose the top 2 guys. So losing Jamison Williams, obviously my guy, everyone understands. I am a John Mechie guy. I want him here in New England. I've talked about it on the show. I'm going to continue to talk about it. I'm going to manifest that John Mechie III becomes a New England Patriot. But yeah, first time in 41 years, man. It was awesome to see. I mean, how crazy is it? I mean, think about the quarterbacks that came through UGA. And some guy named Stetson Bennett. It becomes the guy that gets it done there. So, over, Aaron Murray and JT Daniels and,
Jake
just so
Fromm.
many guys that came through. Yeah, it's Jake Fromm. It's like, it's amazing to me that he's the guy that's getting it done, the guy that no one even looked at to bring in there. So, great job with them. But before kick it back to y'all two. Listen, besides John Mechie, Jordan Davis needs to be a pair of functional. I know we got Christian Barmore. Jordan Davis is Ted Washington with speed. Like it's the way I behave with wherever you want to put it. For those that don't remember Ted Washington, look him up. He was here like Jordan Davis, 6'6", 350. I just, to him and Barmore would be insane, and you would not run on us at all. But yeah, that's my thing. But congrats to the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah, so to piggyback off everything you guys just said, you guys know that I've been preaching for so long that the NCAA is, and they missed another opportunity recently where they missed another chance to come to an agreement on this. They're missing out on so much money, and for such an organization that's so driven by the money, that's so driven by power, by being popular, by raking in this money off these amateur athletes, for them not to do this tournament, it is just mind-blowing to me. Even if they expanded it out to 8, man, how many more people would watch all those games. You think about how many more games are added to that and how much more hype there is between, instead of just Alabama, Georgia every year, you also have an Oklahoma versus Baylor playoff game. Not just an Oklahoma versus Baylor week 13 for the conference, a playoff game. Or you have, you think about Miami versus, I don't even know, Nebraska. That could be a thing. Like all these different options that you could get so many different fan bases and such a national audience. And it's honestly, it's reminding me a lot of the MLB where it's just like, listen, man, it's on the tee. It's there. Just swing the bat. What the fuck are you doing, guys? What are you doing?
Football is key. Football is king, I should say. Football is king. And the NCAA sees these Alabamas, Florida States, Miamis. I know I'm kind of dating myself here a little bit, but like the Georgias, like they're the ones that bring in the most money. And it's like 20 schools or something like that in all of Division I football, like FBS football, and there's 130 of them now. Bring in a quote unquote profit. Like there's boosters and stuff like that. Sure, that's a different story. But there's this whole thing around the money of it. And then that's what motivates the NCAA, because that's where they're getting their money from, those schools, from the sponsors that's, from Tostitos, from all of these bowl sponsors. They're not getting anything from the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl or whatever. Those are lower level bowls. But Bobby, and I don't say this as a disagreement, I actually say this as an agreement with you, and curtail off what you just said by saying it's the only sport in college athletics in the United States of America at any level that does not have a playoff where every conference is represented. Every conference that has an AQ anyway, an automatic qualifier, doesn't have a representative from every conference in the playoffs. Only sport at any level in college athletics, in NCAA athletics, because there is the NAIA and other organizations out there, but it's the only one. And he, like the FCS, Division II, Division III, all have those tournaments. Now, granted, a lot of times what happens, and I'll use Division III football as an example, you get a situation where, so last year, our alma mater, Dean College, had joined their conference and they were in a probationary period. So they could not win their conference last year, even though they did. So SUNY Maritime College, or Maritime College in the State University of New York system, SUNY Maritime is what we call it for short, who was not very good, ended up going to the playoffs because they were the de facto winner of their conference. They got beat by Salisbury 83-0.
Jesus.
Is that an argument for it at the Division I level or against it? But it's like, but you never know. Anything could happen on any given Saturday in college football, right? Like these teams from the MAC and the Sun Belt and the American Conference could go in and surprise somebody. And this is the biggest thing where these schools are very like, well, I don't know. But again, to bring them up again, Deion Sanders is changing the game. He brought in 4 or 5 of the top 10 recruits in the country to Jackson State. How does he even do that? He's pulling guys away from FSU.
Yep.
That's all he needs.
Sure.
He just walks in his house. He's like, hey, what's up?
Yeah,
it also helps when you go one as well, so it helps.
Yeah. And who's one of his coordinators? Was Lovie Smith one of his coordinators this year?
I think so.
Some big name was one of his coordinators this year. And the dude can do whatever he wants, and he's gonna do it. And that's just that's what I would love to see in college football is to see something to echo Bobby from 2 minutes ago. I would love to see something other than LSU, Bama, Georgia. Like, yeah, the SEC is going, oh, yeah, look, we got the best teams in there. Well, yeah, of course you got the best teams in there. That's just the way it's gone, and you've gotten the most money at the end of the day, and you've got the richest boosters, and that's fine. But let's level the playing field a little bit. Let's let Jackson State get in there in a couple of years and see what they can do with the top recruits in the country.
Yeah,
so that's my argument for it. But I don't think 8's enough, Bobby. That's the only part I would disagree with you on. I think they got to go to one from every conference, which I did this out at one point, where you got one from every conference, and then you had like at large, like they do in college basketball, right? So then you get teams that would still be from the SEC and whatever. And sure, you want to make them a higher seed over Boston College or whoever again wins the Big Sky Conference over Montana. Fine, they like make them a higher seed, but let these kids from Montana go out and I mean, how do you think they find these quarterbacks and stuff? Let these kids get on the national stage and get an opportunity to make this money.
Just the Wyoming.
And I'll tell you what, I have watched more Division I AA playoff games in my life than I can even count. And I've never watched a 1AA regular season football game ever in my entire life. Never watched one. Do you know why I watch it? Because it's a playoff game. Because it's win and go home. It just brings a different atmosphere. It's a whole different thing. So yeah, I mean, it's blasphemy that the NCAA still doesn't do this to this day. That's the last thing I'll say about that.
It's funny how it would come down to us, and if you haven't heard their voices in a little while, unfortunately, Dave and Mike had to leave us in our 100th episode with an asterisk. But it would come down to the three of us talking college football because I feel like we're the ones that actually have the knowledge on that. So we can talk about that. So we'll have to do a college football show.
And it started with NFL and ended with a random NCAA talk. I don't think there's anything that could fit our show more.
No, absolutely not. And that was a complete tangent on the NCAA stuff. So we hope you all enjoyed all of this. But that is going to wrap it up for the 100th episode of Missing the Point. We covered a lot of things. We reminisced a little bit. We all gave our feelings on what we thought about this. And, one thing none of us said, and I think it was fitting that we left it to the end, and I'll throw it in there now, is that we look at numbers. We're stats guys. We like seeing the download numbers, the when we, every time we hit a milestone, whether it's minor or major, we look at the numbers every day. And those of you that download our episode, seemingly from Dorchester and South Florida, weird Ray, and Jamaica. No, but it's weird how that happens. But really, we couldn't do this without all of you listening. And we know that we have a lot of people that have followed us from our Dean College days, a lot of family and friends that listen. But we also have a lot of random people who have picked up our podcast from around the globe, really. And have listened to us, and we really appreciate that, and to the families of all of our families and friends for listening and keeping up with us and enjoying our nonsense and understanding our weird relationships. Because I think Dave and Mike is wrong. I don't think we hate each other. I think we slightly dislike each other, and then we tolerate each other because we all love sports. And like Mike said, we kind of grew up together in our formative years in college. So we covered a lot here on this.
That's what a brotherhood is.
Yeah, passionate, man, passionate.
That's what a brotherhood is. It ain't nowhere hate. So it's a brotherhood. That's all it is.
Although it is weird that every time we get into it, Ray kind of just steps back. I don't,
because I'm not here. That's just not me. Y'all know that by now. Maybe in the younger days I would have responded, but not now. I'm just calm.
He's too smart. Mr. B's classes in session.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
Right. So it should this should be a good one for you, Craig. But thank you all for downloading. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for hanging out with us for over 18 months now. A lot has happened in our personal lives. A lot has happened in the world, and we got a lot more coming for you in 2022. We appreciate you guys listening. It helps us keep us motivated to do this every week. And for Dave Clark, Mike Marcangelo, Rayshawn Buchanan, the real BK Bob Kelly, and our EP Craig D'Alessandro, who, again, none of this happens without Craig. Just always remember that. I want you to record that and play it every morning. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, all right, on my knees. Thank you everyone for listening. This has been the 100th episode, and again, I'm Joe Malkin. This has been MTP. We will talk to you on the next episode.
Are you passionate about saving the planet for future generations? Do you want to learn how to do it? If yes, then you need to tune in to the Nature Back podcast. It's a talk show covering the changing world around us, from renewable energy, sustainable agriculture, circular economy, to ESG and social innovation. Don't miss this opportunity to discover how you can join the movement and make a difference. Subscribe to the Nature Back podcast today on your favorite platform and get ready to be amazed.
Miles, are you ready to record our promo for Season 2 of the Wanna Bet podcast?
David, have you ever seen a grown man naked?
Miles, we're not here to quote lines from Airplane. We're here to tell people that Season 2 starts August 18th.
But I like Airplane.
I know you do, but Wanna Bet is a sports betting podcast. Each week we bet $1,000 on the NFL teams and games that we love.
Well, that sounds like fun.
It is fun. And last year you picked over 60% of your games correctly.
How'd you do?
We're not talking about that. We are telling people that they can find us every Friday. So no more movie quotes.
Roger.
Electricast.